Please, please don't go. I want to help you, please.
Have you ever wondered what would happen if someone with all the power in the world witnessed the worst moment of your life? What if that person could change everything with just one decision? Would they help you, or would they walk away like everyone else? Before we dive into this incredible true story, please hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Lifted Stories. We love hearing from you, so drop a comment telling us where you are watching from right now. Let me tell you about a cold Tuesday morning in Chicago that changed 2 lives forever. Marcus Chen stood outside his coffee shop wearing clothes that looked old and worn out. His jacket came from a thrift store. His jeans had holes in them. His baseball cap was pulled down low over his face. Nobody walking past him that morning would ever guess the truth. Marcus owned 32 coffee shops across 5 states. He was worth millions of dollars. But today he looked like someone who barely had enough money for breakfast. Why was he doing this? Because something was very wrong at his downtown Chicago shop. In just 8 months, 21 workers had either quit or been fired. 21 people. That meant almost everyone who worked there had left. The numbers on his computer told him there was a problem. But numbers cannot tell you everything. Sometimes you have to see things with your own eyes. Marcus walked through the coffee shop door. The smell of fresh coffee and sweet pastries filled the air. The place was packed with customers. Phones were buzzing. The coffee machines were hissing and steaming. People were talking and laughing. Everything looked normal. Everything looked fine. Then Marcus saw her. Her name was Sarah Mitchell. She moved through the busy shop like a dancer who knew every step perfectly. She was about 27 years old with her dark hair pulled back tight. And she was handling 6 different things at the same time without getting confused or upset. Marcus watched as a cup started to fall. Sarah caught it before it hit the ground. A customer started yelling about his order being wrong. Sarah smiled, stayed calm, and made him a fresh drink right away. The angry customer left happy. When customers gave her money, she counted their change in her head faster than the machine could do it. Marcus sat in a corner booth and kept watching. This woman was really good at her job. Really, really good. But something was not right. Every few minutes Sarah would look toward the back room. Her hand would slip into her pocket to check her phone. Her shoulders would get tight and tense. Then quietly, she would disappear through a door into the storage area. 3 minutes passed. Then 5 minutes. The other workers had to do her job while she was gone. Some of them rolled their eyes. One whispered something that made another worker laugh in a mean way. When Sarah came back out, Marcus could see it clearly on her face. She had been crying. Before Marcus could think about what was happening, a door slammed open so hard that everyone in the shop jumped. The sound cut through every conversation like a knife. Mitchell. The voice was loud and angry and mean. Everyone turned to look. The man who came storming out was named Tom Bradley. His name tag said manager. He was about 45 years old with a face that showed he enjoyed having power over other people. What were you doing back there? Tom's voice got louder with every word. Do you know how many customers we lost because you disappeared? Marcus looked around the shop. No customers had left. The other workers had covered everything perfectly. This was not about the business. This was about control. This was about power. Sir, I was only gone for 4 minutes, Sarah said quietly. 4 minutes? You have been abandoning your post for 45 minutes. That is not true. I did not. Do not dare contradict me. Tom stepped closer to Sarah, getting right in her face in a way that made Marcus's hands tighten around his coffee cup. I know exactly what you have been doing. You think I am stupid? You think I do not notice what happens in my own shop? Sarah's voice dropped low. She sounded desperate and scared. Mr. Bradley, please. Can we talk about this in your office? Please. Oh, now you want privacy? After you have been hiding your sick kid in my storage room." The words fell like bombs. The whole coffee shop went completely silent. People shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Some looked away. Others stared, unable to stop watching what was happening. Sarah's face crumpled for just 1 second before she forced herself to look strong again. "My daughter has a fever of 103 degrees, Sarah said. Her voice shook. The daycare would not take her. I called everyone I know. All 4 people. Nobody could help me on short notice. My mom lives 6 hours away. I could not miss another shift. You said 3 absences meant I would be fired automatically. I thought if I could just make it through today." Her voice broke into pieces. "She is not near the food," Sarah continued. "She is in the supply closet in the very back, away from everything. I made sure. I made absolutely sure. I do not care what you made sure of." Tom crossed his arms. He was clearly enjoying all the attention. "You brought a sick child into my workplace. That is grounds for immediate termination. Please." Tears were streaming down Sarah's face now. "I just need today. I need today's pay. I will figure something out for tomorrow. I promise. Please do not do this. You should have thought about that before you turned my storage room into a daycare." Tom raised his voice so everyone in the shop could hear. "Sarah Mitchell, you are fired. Effective immediately. Get your things, get your kid, and get out." The coffee shop had gone completely silent. Even the coffee machine seemed to have stopped making noise. The only sound was soft jazz music playing from the speakers. The cheerful music felt completely wrong for what was happening. "Mr. Bradley," Sarah tried one more time. Her voice was small and broken. "You have 5 minutes. If you are still here in 6 minutes, I am calling the police." Sarah stood frozen for a moment. Then, with her head held as high as she could manage, she walked toward the storage room. She came out less than a minute later carrying a little girl. The child was maybe 5 years old, wrapped in a jacket too thin for the cold Chicago winter. The little girl's face was red with fever. Her small body hung limp against her mother's shoulder. Sarah walked past Tom without looking at him. She walked past the other workers. She walked past all the customers staring at her. And for just 1 second, as she passed Marcus's booth, their eyes met. In that brief moment, Marcus saw everything. He saw the fear of a mother with nowhere to turn. He saw the exhaustion of someone who had been fighting too long with too little help. He saw the desperate look of someone trying to figure out how to pay for medicine, for food, for a place to live, when they had exactly 0 options left. It was a look Marcus remembered from 40 years ago, when he and his mother had nothing, when they had nowhere to go. Sarah pushed through the door into the cold Chicago wind. Marcus could see she had no car. She just started walking, her daughter pressed against her chest, disappearing into the gray winter morning. And Marcus Chen made a decision that would change everything. Marcus did not follow Sarah into the cold. Not yet. Instead, he stood up and walked directly to where Tom Bradley stood looking satisfied with himself. "Mr. Bradley," Marcus said quietly, "I need you to tell me your full name and position." Tom barely glanced at him. He looked at the shabby jacket and worn-out clothes. His lip curled up in a sneer like he was looking at something dirty. "I am the manager," Tom said. "If you have got a complaint about what just happened, you can." Tom Bradley, manager at the downtown Chicago location. Employed by Morning Brew Coffee Company for 9 years. Transferred 7 times in those 9 years. Marcus's voice was quiet, but something in his tone made Tom's smirk disappear completely. 21 employees have quit or been fired in the past 8 months. Would you say that is accurate? Tom's face went pale white. Who are you? Marcus pulled out his real wallet and showed his identification card. "Marcus Chen. I own this company. And you are fired. Effective immediately. You cannot do this. I have rights. There are procedures." "There are procedures for a lot of things," Marcus said. His voice was cold as ice. including documenting a pattern of harassment and creating a hostile work environment. You will be contacted by Human Resources within the hour. Leave now. Tom grabbed his jacket and stormed out, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. Marcus turned to the shocked staff standing frozen behind the counter. "Who is the assistant manager?" A woman in her 30s stepped forward cautiously. "That is me. Jennifer Park. Mississippi Park, you are the interim manager as of now. Can you handle the rest of today?" "Yes, sir. Absolutely. Good. Everyone else, back to work." Marcus walked out to his car, already pulling out his phone. He had his assistant, Patricia, on the line before he even started the engine. "Patricia, I need everything you can find on Sarah Mitchell. She was just fired from our downtown location. Employment file, background, whatever you can get legally." 3 hours later, Patricia called back with information that made Marcus's chest feel tight and heavy. Sarah Mitchell. Age 27. Bachelor's degree in hospitality management from Northwestern University. Graduated with honors 6 years ago. Patricia continued reading. After graduation, she worked at the Riverside Hotel for 3 years as an operations coordinator. Her supervisor's note says natural leader, consistently exceeds expectations, has real management potential. Then there was a gap, Patricia said. 2 years with no employment. What does she say about the gap? Marcus asked. Family medical emergency. Spouse deceased. Patricia's voice was gentle and sad. I found a marriage license from 7 years ago. Sarah Carter married James Mitchell. And a death certificate from 20 months ago. James Mitchell, age 29. Cause of death, leukemia. There it was. The story behind everything. The reason Sarah had looked so defeated and desperate. What about her financial situation? Marcus asked. Significant medical debt. Hospital bills. Oncology treatments. Total across 4 collection agencies is around $52,000. Her car was repossessed 10 months ago. She is currently renting month to month in a building with multiple code violations. And Marcus, she has a daughter named Riley. 5 years old. Marcus closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Send me everything, he said. And Patricia, I need the full file on Tom Bradley. Every complaint, every incident, everything that was swept under the rug. The files arrived within minutes. Marcus spent the next 2 hours reading. His anger built with each page he turned. Tom Bradley had a pattern of behavior that stretched back years. Complaints from employees about stolen tips. Verbal harassment. Unfair treatment. Each time he had been moved to a new location instead of being fired. Someone in Human Resources had been playing musical chairs with the problem instead of solving it. That person was going to have a very uncomfortable meeting with Marcus very soon. But right now, Marcus needed to focus on Sarah Mitchell. He stared at her application photo. A professional headshot showing a young woman with a warm smile and confident eyes. The person he had seen today had been a shadow of that woman. Worn down by life. Defeated by circumstances that should never defeat anyone. Marcus thought about his own story. When he was 12 years old, his mother had lost her job. They had been evicted from their apartment. They lived in their car for 7 months, parked behind different businesses, trying to stay invisible and safe. His mother would cry at night when she thought he was asleep. She tried to figure out how to feed them, how to keep them warm, how to keep them alive. Then a woman named Linda Zhao found them. Yes, Marcus's current assistant Patricia was named after her. Linda owned a small bakery. Instead of calling the police when she found them sleeping in their car behind her shop, she gave Marcus's mother a job. She gave them a small apartment above the bakery. And she gave them something more valuable than either of those things. She gave them dignity. Linda Zhao used to say something Marcus never forgot. People do not fail because they are lazy or stupid. They fail because nobody ever gives them a real chance. Those words had built Marcus's entire company. Every policy, every benefit, every decision came back to that principle. And somehow, managers like Tom Bradley had created exactly the opposite environment. Marcus picked up his phone and called the number on Sarah's application. It rang 4 times. Then a tired voice answered. "Hello, Miss Mitchell, this is Marcus Chen. I own Morning Brew Coffee Company. I witnessed what happened this morning and I would like to talk to you about it. Would you be willing to meet?" There was a long silence. "Am I in trouble? Because if this is about legal..." "You are not in trouble. The opposite, actually. Mr. Bradley has been terminated. But I would like to discuss your situation. Would you meet me tomorrow at the coffee shop? Say 2 in the afternoon. It will be quiet between the lunch and afternoon rush." "I do not understand. Why would you want to help me?" "Because what happened to you is wrong. Because I think you deserve better. And because..." Marcus paused, choosing his words carefully. "Because someone gave me and my mother a chance when we had nothing. I have spent 30 years trying to pay that forward. Will you give me the chance to explain?" Another long silence. 2 in the afternoon tomorrow, Sarah finally said. "Okay. I will be there." After she hung up, Marcus sat in his office and looked out at the Chicago skyline. The tall buildings stretched up into the gray sky. He had made the first move. Now he needed to figure out what came next. He had never done anything quite like this before. Singling out one person for direct help. Usually he worked on systems and policies meant to help everyone. This was different. This was personal. But maybe that was the point. Maybe sometimes you had to help one person directly to understand what needed to change for everyone. Marcus opened a new document on his laptop and started writing. Not just a plan for Sarah Mitchell, but a complete overhaul of how Morning Brew Coffee Company supported employees in crisis. By the time he finished, it was past midnight. The office building was empty and quiet. But Marcus had a plan. And tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon, he would find out if Sarah Mitchell was willing to take a chance on something different. He would find out if she was ready to believe that good things could still happen. That life could still surprise you in beautiful ways. Marcus saved the document, turned off his computer, and headed home. Tomorrow would be the beginning of something new. For Sarah. For his company. And maybe, in some small way, for himself too. Sarah arrived at exactly 2 in the afternoon carrying Riley on her hip. The little girl looked better. The fever medicine had worked and her eyes were brighter. But she clung to her mother like she was afraid to let go. Marcus was already there, waiting in a booth. He stood when they approached. Sarah noticed he looked different than yesterday. Less shabby. The watch on his wrist was expensive. The whole presentation said money and power. She felt a flutter of nervousness in her stomach. "Miss Mitchell, thank you for coming. Please sit down." Marcus gestured to the booth. "Can I get you anything? Something to drink? Something for Riley?" "We are fine." Sarah sat down, keeping Riley close. "You said you wanted to talk." "I do. But first I want to apologize." Marcus's voice was sincere. His eyes looked directly at hers. "What happened to you yesterday was completely unacceptable. Mr. Bradley's behavior violated everything my company is supposed to stand for. He has been terminated and he will not work in any of my locations again." Sarah's eyes widened. "You fired him because of me?" "I fired him because of a pattern of behavior that should have been addressed years ago. What happened to you was just the final incident." Marcus leaned forward slightly. "Miss Mitchell, I looked at your employment file. I hope you will forgive that, but I needed to understand who you are. I know about your degree, your work at the Riverside Hotel. And I know about your husband. I am very sorry for your loss." Sarah stiffened. "You investigated me. I reviewed what was available to me as your employer and looked at public records. Nothing invasive. But yes, I wanted to understand your situation before I came to you with a proposal." "What kind of proposal?" Sarah's voice was cautious and suspicious. "I would like to offer you a position as assistant manager at this location. You would work under Jennifer Park, who has been promoted to manager. The position pays $42,000 a year with full benefits. Health insurance, dental, vision, paid time off, and access to our employee support program. Sarah stared at him like he had spoken in a different language. That is not funny. I am not joking. Marcus pulled out a folder. I watched you work yesterday morning. You are efficient. You handle pressure well. You have excellent people skills. Your degree is in hospitality management. You graduated with honors. Your previous supervisor said you showed natural leadership. You are more than qualified for this position. You watched me work for what, 2 hours? And you want to make me a manager? Sarah's voice was sharp with disbelief. There has to be a catch. Some reason you are doing this. No catch. Marcus's voice became gentler. Just recognition that you have potential being wasted because life pushed you into survival mode. Miss Mitchell, I know what it is like to have nothing. When I was 12, my mother and I were homeless. We lived in her car for 7 months in this city. We had nowhere to go. No way out. Sarah's expression shifted. Surprise broke through the skepticism on her face. A bakery owner named Linda Zhao found us sleeping in our car behind her shop. She could have called the police. Instead, she gave my mother a job, an apartment, and a chance. She told my mother something I have never forgotten. People do not fail because they are lazy. They fail because nobody ever gives them a real chance. Marcus met Sarah's eyes. I built my company on that principle. And I have failed at it. I have let managers like Tom Bradley create environments that punish people for being human. So this is me trying to do what I should have been doing all along. So this is guilt, Sarah said flatly. You feel bad. This is recognizing an opportunity to help someone who deserves it. Marcus slid the folder across the table. Inside is information about our Employee Assistance Fund. It can help with temporary housing, emergency expenses, childcare costs. The things that create impossible situations like the one you were in yesterday. Sarah opened the folder with shaking hands. Her eyes scanned the documents, widening as she read. 60 days of subsidized rent. Interest-free emergency loans. Child care assistance. All available to employees who needed help. And you are just offering this to me? Sarah's voice cracked. I do not understand why. Because I can. Because it is right. And because, Marcus paused, choosing his words carefully. Because I think you will be excellent at this job. Because I think you can do much more than just survive. And because someone gave my mother and me a chance when we had nothing, and I have spent 30 years trying to pay that forward. Sarah looked down at Riley, who had fallen asleep against her chest. She thought about the eviction notice sitting on her kitchen table. About the debt collectors who called every single day. About the car she had lost, the credit she had destroyed, the future that had seemed to close down to nothing. She thought about James. About the life they had planned together. About how none of it had gone the way it was supposed to. And she thought about this man sitting across from her, offering something that seemed too good to be true. What if I am not good at it? She asked quietly. What if I take this job and I fail? Then we figure out why and what you need to succeed. Maybe it is more training. Maybe it is a different position. Maybe something else. Marcus's expression was earnest and honest. I am not expecting perfection. I am expecting you to work hard, learn, and care about doing good work. From what I have seen, you already do all three. Sarah took a shaky breath. The other employees. They are going to know what happened. They are going to think I got special treatment. Probably, Marcus acknowledged. You will have to prove yourself. You will have to work harder than anyone to earn their respect. That is not fair, but it is reality. Can you handle that? Sarah thought about everything she had handled in the past 2 years. Watching James die slowly. Raising Riley alone. Working multiple jobs while drowning in debt. Dealing with collectors and threats and fear every single day. facing eviction and hunger and desperation. If she could handle all of that, she could handle some resentful co-workers. "Yes," she said firmly. "I can handle it." Marcus extended his hand across the table. "Then do we have a deal? Will you take the assistant manager position?" Sarah looked at his hand, at his face, at the folder full of possibilities sitting on the table between them. She thought about pride and accepting help, about what James would want for her and Riley, about hope and second chances and believing that good things could still happen. She reached out and shook his hand. "Yes, I will take it." Marcus smiled. "Welcome to Morning Brew Coffee Company, Assistant Manager Mitchell." Over the next months, Sarah proved herself again and again. The first day was brutal. Walking in wearing her new shirt with her name embroidered on it. Facing 12 skeptical employees who thought she had gotten special treatment. But Sarah worked harder than anyone. She learned every position. She fixed problems nobody else had noticed. Ergonomic mats for aching wrists. Repairs for broken equipment. Fair schedules that let people rest. Transparent tip tracking so nobody's money disappeared. Slowly, one by one, most of the staff came around. They saw she was not just playing at being a manager. She was actually good at it. 9 months later, everything changed again. Marcus's mother had a stroke. He flew to Boston immediately, and suddenly his world became hospital rooms and rehabilitation and watching his strong mother struggle. Late one night, his phone rang. It was Sarah. "How is your mother?" she asked gently. "Improving, but slowly." Watching her struggle, his voice cracked. "When James was sick," Sarah said softly, "the hardest part was not the big moments. It was the everyday struggle. Watching someone you love fight so hard. Feeling helpless because you cannot fix it for them." "Yes, exactly. What helped me was accepting that my job was not to fix him. I could not cure the cancer. All I could do was be there. That is what your mother needs from you now. Not solutions. Just presence." Over the following weeks, Marcus called Sarah late at night when the fear was loudest. They talked about his mother's progress. About guilt and frustration. About learning to let go of control. "Do not try to manage everything from Boston," Sarah told him. "You hired good people. Trust us. Your mother needs you more than the business does right now." And Marcus realized something beautiful. The woman he had given a chance to was now giving him exactly what he needed. Support. Understanding. The gift of being seen and heard in his hardest moment. The circle was complete. Sarah had not just been saved by kindness. She had become kindness itself. And that, Marcus understood, was how you changed the world. Not through one grand gesture, but through creating a chain of compassion that kept moving forward, touching life after life after life. Sometimes all someone needs is one person who believes in them. One person who sees their potential when they cannot see it themselves. One person who says, "You deserve better," and then proves it with action. That is what Linda Zhao did for Marcus 40 years ago. That is what Marcus did for Sarah. And that is what Sarah would do for countless others in the years to come. Because kindness is not a transaction. It is a legacy. And this legacy was just beginning.